Now, we've loved every person on Flex Your Hustle, but today's guest strikes a real chord with me. The ideological foundation of her business gets to the heart of something I feel very strongly about: taking steps towards gender parity, especially when it comes to financial security and independence. Why, you ask? Well, here's the facts. Women retire with 42% less super than men. The gender pay gap, combined with the fact that majority of women will leave the workforce at various times in their life to become caregivers, means women have a lot less financial security as they get older. Sadly, that's why the fastest growing segment of homeless people in Australia is older women. Super Rewards, founded by Pascale Helyar-Moray, is a cashback rewards program that offers a percentage of cash on every purchase, which goes right back into your super. Pascale has over 20 years of financial services marketing and brand building experience. She's a seasoned entrepreneur and startup advisor. She's been the head of marketing for the Investment Trusts and WealthManager businesses of JPMorgan in London, and she's also held senior marketing roles at BT Financial Group and BNP Paribas. And to top it all off, she's the current Director of Communications for the Australian Gender Equality Council, an independent national organisation dedicated to achieving gender equality. This interview ran a little over our usual time for the show, but with an issue this important, we wanted to give it as much airtime as we could. Here is Pascale and the Super Rewards story. In your words, what is Super Rewards?
Super Rewards is a platform where you earn cash back into your super from your everyday spend.
So basically what everyone is familiar with, the cashback concept, but instead of getting cash immediately, you get cash for retirement.
Correct. And the hidden beauty of Super Rewards is because it's going straight into your super and there's no decision making around what to do with it or where it could be directed or how to spend it. It's a form of forced saving, right? And so it's set and forget. And just in doing that, you're building your wealth. If I think about other cashback type models where it's coming back into bank, like if you give me a spare $50, I can give you 5 different ways I'm going to spend it. But I will never ever think, even me doing what I do, I will never think about tipping it into my super. Because the logistics and the barriers associated with that are just mentally too great. So the true beauty of Super Rewards is that it's just set and forget. You just do what you normally do and we take care of the rest.
The reason you built this business is very close to your heart.
Yes.
So let's talk about it.
So let's wind back 30 years. Superannuation was introduced, let's call it 1992. And what you had at that time, prior to superannuation, which is defined contribution, so the user contributes to their super and building up their retirement fund. Prior to that was defined benefit, where this person would stay at a company and then when they retired, the company would pay for them to retire. So you had this really quite radical shift from defined benefit to defined contribution. Now, let's not forget, and I think this is really important, that I think there was one woman in the room when they built the framework of superannuation. So,
If that.
Right. So you have this framework which is being built by a cohort whose wives and partners or whatever were at home doing the homemaking and running the home. And so no one really thought about, well, what happens if you're not in the workforce? Or
for an extended period of time.
For an extended period of time.
Or at all.
Or at all. So now we fast forward to 20, 25 years' time. They're now retiring and they have no super.
Well, also, they're also divorced. And I'm sure a lot of
Correct.
these laws were created with the thought that the traditional couple would stay the traditional couple.
And it used to be, there was a lot of, marital breakdowns in the early mid-50s for the couple. Generally, and this has changed just now, it used to be he'd say, okay, I'll take the super, you take the house, which is great.
To an extent.
To a certain extent. Except you can't, unless your house is producing some sort of income for you, you can't live on that. So what we then find is that we have the fastest growing segment of homeless people in Australia is actually the older woman. For these reasons, because she had no super, or maybe it was taken as part of the divorce or whatever. And I don't think that for 51% of the population, if you have devoted your life and career to the service of others, as a caregiver to others, that living in your car or couch surfing permanently is a particularly dignified or elegant or appropriate end of your, of citizenship as this country. So when I started creating super awards, I was looking at all these facts and stats and whatnot, and I just thought, this is crazy. What are we doing? We are one of the richest countries in the world. Our superannuation system, as much as I've just been sitting here critiquing it, is in fact one of the most recognised on the global stage. We have so much wealth in our superannuation system because everybody has pretty much been giving 10% of their earnings to the superannuation system, and we are the envy of countries worldwide. We have so much in the way of national resource. What are we doing? Why are we letting half our population or putting half our population at risk in this way? So, and I thought it's just nuts. But women are stuck, right? You can't ask the already working mum to get a second job or a third job. There are a number of barriers for women who are out of the workforce to come back into work. Cost of childcare. So the cost of 2 children in full-time childcare is slightly greater than the average woman's full-time wage. So if you've got 2 kids and you're doing the maths, you're like, do I want to be sending the family unit backwards just to go back to work? No, I don't. Okay, well, I'll stay out of the workforce. Just continue raising the kids until they're old enough to be at school. But meanwhile, her super has taken a hit. So I just, I was looking at all these stats. I was Director of Communications for the Australian Gender Equality Council at the time. And with the council, I was interacting firsthand with government, firsthand with corporates, firsthand with the everyday user. And I just saw how much inaction there was. And it was absolutely mind-boggling to me that we had arrived at this place, we had let things come to this position for women, and this is how we reward them. So I thought there has to be a better way. Women are trapped, they can't get other jobs, they can't contribute to their super any other way because they're not earning an income. They're burdened by responsibility, by domestics, by childcare, etc. How can we create an income stream into superannuation?
Well, here it is.
Here it is.
Cashback's been around a few years. Why not do a super rewards? It's the same thing. Just goes for your retirement.
That's right.
Makes a lot of sense. And I think for the women out there maybe, listening, I've got a full-time career, my kids are in daycare, we can afford to do this, my husband or my wife is also working, we've got 2 incomes. I guess the thing is this could happen to you because you might find yourself in your late 40s, early 50s divorce, looking after elderly parents. Anything can happen in life.
Yes.
And so it's important to safeguard yourself. How many retailers are you in and what sort of retailers?
So we have 500 online retailers across every category you could imagine, ranging from the usual suspects like home, beauty, fashion, to marketplaces and various services, so Canva, eBay, Catch, that sort of thing. We have done really, really well in terms of attracting a very strong retailer lineup. I think a lot of people mistakenly think that it's just about fashion and beauty, and of course, yes, we have those retailers, but we also have Energy Australia, right, which is your everyday. We have insurance companies. We have Booking.com. We have appliances online. We have the Good Guys. So it's really about everything for your world, whether it's home, leisure, business, entertainment, whatever. We've covered every category you can imagine.
Amazing.
Now, in terms of the in-store lineup, as I was describing, so we've just rolled out in-store, and this is a whole different type of retailer. This is really your incidental spend. So this is like your dry cleaners, your takeaway, your cafes, your restaurants, your car wash, etc. Yeah, and it's $50 here, $80 there. Doesn't matter.
You
We're
don't
just
even
thinking
notice.
about it.
My husband said to me the other day, he's like, how have we spent so much money this month? And I did a little check. And it's the little coffee here and the dry cleaning and bits of the dog food. And then all of a sudden we're thousands of dollars into household expenses that we didn't even realize we were making.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So how great to be able to make a bit of cash back on that and throw it into your
Well, that's
retirement
right. So
funds.
I like to think of it as like less guilt when you spend, because you're actually helping your retirement. But also thanks to compound interest, right? So $1 cashback now is not just $1. So I was looking at my Super Rewards account, and obviously I'm a big user of the platform. So let's say I've got, I don't know, $1,170 that I've earned through Super Rewards, just through the online component.
Yep.
That $1,170 translates into a difference of, I'm going to say like $11,700 ish. By the time compound interest over 25 years based on the average super balance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the other secret weapon of super rewards, is that it's not just about the dollar now. It's about really 10xing for your future.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Even peak COVID, the proportion of online sales as a component of all retail sales in Australia was only 15%. Only 15%, even peak COVID. And so, but the way in which the mechanics of online cashback works, very different and very streamlined compared to in-store cashback. The in-store arena, we'll call it, is super fragmented. Lots of different ways you can address it mechanically. And I was really ruthless about, okay, whatever solution we find, it just has to be seamless. It just has to be seamless. We can't have fobs. We can't have receipts. We can't have a special card. We can't have a whatever it may be. It just has to be part of everyday life.
Yeah.
And we just have to remove all barriers and obstacles, because there are enough barriers and obstacles when it comes to topping up your super. And that's part of the reason people don't top up their super, because, there are so many gates, to hurdle.
You would think that it's a no-brainer,
Yes.
but it's not for a lot of people.
No.
So tell me about the challenges you face from an audience perspective.
Talking about super to the average person is about as exciting as marketing a dead fish. There's 1,000 other priorities, right, on your to-do list.
Oh, 100%,
and super is one of those things that, I'll get to it. The reality is that by the time you actually, if you put it off, and by the time you actually get to it, if you're post 40 or mid 40s, whatever, by and large, the opportunity to have built a sufficient nest egg has passed you by. It really is one of those things where if you can be contributing to your super in a meaningful way from, age 20, 21, 25, whatever, you're going to be on a much healthier path to a happier retirement than if you don't. So the challenges for the everyday user are multifactored. They are numerous. We've got, firstly, the language, concessional, non-concessional. Even that kind of language, comes with it as, you need a glossary just for superannuation, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the fact that in this country, I don't think we've done a good job on financial literacy.
Oh, I agree with that.
And so by the time, your average person kind of wakes up and goes, oh, how much do I need for a comfortable retirement? It's, it's quite late on in the piece to be having that conversation. And then we have a government that has made it super complex. And I think we've had something like 110 royal commissions into superannuation since its advent 30 years ago. We have constantly changing legislation around superannuation. And then if I said to you, Michelle, okay, imagine yourself next week or next month or in 6 months' time, you can do that.
Yeah.
But in thinking about superannuation, we're asking you to imagine a time 30 years from now. Can we really wrap our heads around that, right? And then last but certainly not least, superannuation is intangible. It's not like a house where we can literally touch our asset.
Yes. Yeah.
Or a bank account or a share portfolio. Because there's stuff happening in share portfolio on a day-to-day basis. It's pretty exciting. 10% up, 15% down.
You can sell it. You can get some cash. It's exciting.
That's right. And if you need to, you can redeem or withdraw your funds in case of an emergency. But we can't do any of that. And we feel distance from it. I've actually had to answer the question a few times. Oh, is my superannuation mine? I'm like, wow, yeah. It's your own asset.
Wow.
So it's very complex. It seems to be something that only experts can talk about. And I think the Australian people is very disconnected from their superannuation.
Yeah.
So therefore, with that background, trying to talk about it in an engaging fashion is like trying to tackle Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And so what we've found in our marketing of super awards is that the people for whom super awards was designed are the people who are the least interested in it. Super awards was designed to help close the gender super gap. Which is where women retire with roughly 58% as much superannuation as men.
Yep.
We all love a stat, but what does that actually mean? It means that women retire with only enough retirement monies to live on for 6 years on a budget income.
Huge.
But then live another 14 after that.
Yeah, because women, live longer, we work less than men, we earn less than men.
Yes.
And so our potential to actually earn a decent amount of super for our retirement is extremely challenged.
Correct.
Yes.
And it's not that we work less. We work less in paid employment.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that correction. 100%. Damn, we work hard.
That's right.
But we work, less maybe years because of the time we take to have
Exactly.
children, be caregivers.
Correct. Look after elderly parents.
Exactly,
All
yeah.
those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So when I started out this journey, I was fascinated to learn that if you think about the cohort of women in that accumulation age of their life, so age 18 to 64, there are 7 million women who fall into that category in Australia. 40% of them are not in the workforce at any one time. And that was just head scratching for me. I was, well, if 40% of women aren't in the workforce, then how are they earning super? And the answer is that they're not. So Super Awards was created to help close that gender super gap, all right, where the woman who's the caregiver or looking after the screaming toddlers or, looking after her elderly parents or whatever, who's actually still doing work, still doing the shopping, coordinating payment of bills, etc., caregiving, etc., is actually still being remunerated for her efforts into her superannuation for doing so. But weirdly, perhaps not unsurprisingly, that those sorts of people, whether it's the Carers of Australia or National Alliance of Single Women or single mothers, whatever it may be, they are the cohorts of people who care about super the least. And from interactions I've had with various of these groups, it's simply because they can't see past the next month, 6 months, year, let alone 25 years into the future. What we found, though, is that the corollary is true. People who need super awards the least actually use it the most.
Yeah, those managing a self-managed super fund, tapped into their finances.
Correct. They really appreciate what super awards brings. They love the kind of set and forget aspect of it.
How do you get through to the ones that really need it?
Look, we have tried and we have tried and we have tried and we have tried. What we have found is it's actually partnerships with the super funds that are the most effective for us. What we found is that in partnerships with the super funds, our conversion rate is anywhere between 15 and 20 times that direct-to-consumer play.
Amazing.
Which is huge, right?
Kind of makes sense, though.
It does make sense. And the analogy I like to use is that it's like, if I hear I should take 10,000 steps, it's in one ear out the other.
Yes, yeah.
If I go to my doctor and my doctor says, take 10,000 steps, you're like, okay,
You're going to have a heart attack.
I'm on it.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to do this. The same is true of the super fund partnership. Because it's the super fund saying to its members, you want more super? Here's how you earn more super.
Yeah.
Through our, trusted provider super awards, that's when people really sit up and pay attention.
Michelle Lomas back here again. I'm chatting to Pascale on the Super Awards founder story. Let's dive back in with the next question.
I know you've been working with the Commission Factory team for a little while.
Yes.
How did that relationship come about?
I had a previous e-commerce business which worked with Commission Factory, but as an advertiser. And so I was aware of the affiliate space. And so when I was coming up with the Super Rewards idea and thinking, okay, how can we create an income stream into super? How can we get cash back into super? I thought, I know just the people to reach out to. And so off I trotted.
To Zane and the team.
To Zane and Sophie.
Yeah.
And I talked very passionately for about 45 minutes about the challenges facing women and super, et cetera, and they just said, we love it. No one's doing this. Let's go. And that was awesome. And so having that support from day one was fantastic, and they got us set up really quickly. And just their ongoing support. They help us with exposure. I've done team briefings. They've had their various account managers look at our account and say, okay, you could be doing this better, that better. Have you thought about X, Y, Z? So they've been a real partner in this journey. But I think probably the most crucial thing that they could have done was say yes in the beginning. And maybe they knew they were onto something, because when we launched, it took us 9 months to build the Super Rewards platform. And it was brand new to market launch. We had 100 retailers on the platform day one. And not just XYZ retailer, but we had some amazing retailers like Catch and
Iconic. And
and Best and Less, and like awesome brand names. We were the first to market on this and had a unique proposition. And I think retailers can see the resonance, because we say, well, we're designed for women, open to any gender, but it's women making 80% of household spending decisions. And I think retailers just went, oh, yes, okay, great. So we had 100 retailers. Now we're north of 500. And then in addition to that, we've got our 300 and something in-store retailers, individual brands, which represent over 1,000 stores nationally. So we're coming up to 1,500.
Wow. Well, the team speaks so highly of you, and it's nice that you've built such a really good and trusted partnership with the team.
Yeah. And, they've been there the whole way. So
what has that done for your marketing efforts then?
So we focus almost exclusively on partnerships with funds, partnerships with wealth groups, because that's where we see the return on our effort and time, right? We've tried Facebook advertising. We've tried Google ads. How dismal. I mean, let's not even talk about the CAC associated with that. But
we can. That's what this podcast is all about.
I remember we trialed a new campaign across Facebook and Google AdWords. Google AdWords was more effective for us, but it was still coming in at 4x what we needed it to. However, the Facebook campaign analysis was hideous, and it came in. The CAC was like 6 times what we needed it to, and had the side effect of making me go white on the spot. These results. Luckily, we were on to sort of a week or two after, so quite soon, and I was just like, stop this campaign right now. We need to just stop, regroup, reassess, and revisit. So what we do focus on in terms of a marketing perspective is partnerships with the super funds, partnerships with wealth creators. The only activities that we will invest our time and resources in direct marketing are things where we're given a bit of a platform to explain what it is and what we do. Because with Super Rewards, we're trying to triple educate, right? Sometimes we have to explain what super is.
Crazy as that is, that is a problem in this country.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
We also have to explain why it's important, why you should care, but sometimes, depending on the audience and the channel, we have to explain what is cashback. And so historically, we have faced challenges around cashback into super, and we've had some users say, I'm not giving you my super fund details. You're going to rob me. And we... Apart from, so this is the moment that I need to jump in and say that we operate as a corporate authorised representative under an Australian financial services licence. So A, we can't, because we're very heavily complianced and monitored. But B, my goodness, if this was a fraud or a scam, this would be the longest dated fraud or scam ever.
Yeah.
because no one can access anybody else's super until they retire. But because of all these educational type challenges, plus, a bit of concern from the public around what is cashback and super, and we tend to stick to the places and the channels where we are given an opportunity to explain, right? So those tend to be things like digital, print, TV, radio, podcasts. We love podcasts, webinars, and those sorts of things. So even though we play in the e-commerce space, so for example, on the Super Awards platform, you'd be sent off to a Country Road website or Witchery or, the Iconic, etc., we're a facilitator, right? And we're sending traffic to those e-commerce platforms. But the marketing rules and framework of an e-commerce platform doesn't apply to us, if that makes sense. So, for example, Country Road and Iconic, they're on Facebook, they're on TikTok, they're Insta, wherever, and those are good channels for them to be. But because they're promoting a lovely red blazer or cute little black dress, whatever, that works. But we're promoting super and earning cash back into super, and people just
it's almost like an
turn
intangible service as well. So then not only are you educating, you're having to build trust in that service, understanding that sort of quick fix that social offers, or even search. You need to know what you're searching for.
That's right.
To be discoverable.
That's right.
So I can see why that's been potentially a challenge for you, and why you've had to go down a different path.
Yes.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to discover that?
It took us a solid 18 months. We tried a whole raft of different direct-to-consumer marketing activities. We tried some Instagram influencers, reasonable success. We tried Facebook, we tried Google, we tried Instagram advertising. After all of those things didn't work, we thought, you know what, TikTok's not going to work either. Let's just park that one.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, we were seeing a huge amount of success from these other channels. We started off marketing to the people who need super awards the most, so single carers of Australia or whatever. Crickets, absolute crickets. A lot of these groups are very political. I mean, they're NFPs or associations, and very political. It's real fiefdom, right? So they're really trying to protect their own interests. Nothing happens very fast. So we moved on from that, promoting super awards to women's groups, to mums groups, to some retail audiences. So after the retailers, then we moved on to the funds themselves, and just the results from when the funds do promote us to their base is phenomenal. Like if I think about our very first pilot with one of the biggest super funds in the country, they promoted us to 100,000 members in their base. They created this incredibly unfriendly user experience for these audience members, whereby there was an EDM where nothing was personalized or pre-populated. Their members had to go to their internal landing page before they could then come over to ours.
Oh, great. Yep.
All the members in this particular audience were, they would have some government email addresses, of course. So firewalls were preventing so many people from actually seeing us and being able to access our site. It was like there could not have been more obstacles in this user journey. Yeah. Particularly from just a sign-up perspective, right? Oh, they have to enter their super fund details when they sign up. And we just said, okay, we'll do it with the first wave. We'll see how we go. Unsurprisingly, no one knew their super details. Then we removed that blocker. And so despite all these, we still had this unbelievable conversion rate of over 5%, which was incredible. But then not only did all these people sign up, they then started spending hand over fist, right? And of course, it's not, with super awards, it's not enough to sign up. That's the act of signing up will not earn you super. You need to come through, use one of our retailers in order to actually earn the super. So what we found was that these members from this super fund were spending at around twice what we see direct to consumer rates, and earning 2.5 times rewards. So that was for the first time when we understood the power of the super fund partnership.
And so going back to this tricky audience that need it the most and respond the least.
Yes.
What's in the future plans for that? How are you going to start to tackle that insurmountable challenge?
We're a small team. We have finite resources, and we can't spend and expend any more energy talking to people who effectively have their hands clamped over their ears. Of course, if Michelle tells them about super, they can come and join up, and maybe Michelle can have that conversation. But we can't expend any more time. We're here, we're available. Super Rewards is free to join. We don't charge anyone.
There's no drama joining
There's
either.
no drama
so
joining
easy.
But we can't spend the considerable effort trying to make that person realise that super is important. We have to wait for them to wake up and go, oh, you know what? I need more super.
Definitely sounds like it's a job for our government to also start to tackle, because it has become such a social issue.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not enough awareness about it. I think the important thing to take away is to take care of yourself. And this is just a very simple, easy way to top up your super with all the things you're spending already.
That's right.
You're going to spend all this stuff. You're going to go get the car washed and all those
Pick
bits
up your
and
dry
pieces.
cleaning.
Yes. So why not, use this as a way to sort of top up your super as well? It's great that the retailers are on board as well.
Yes.
And the more that this sort of starts going in store, the easier it is to make that cash and forget about it. You won't even have to think about it.
Our strapline is, it's super easy. If there is just one thing that I want you to do, it's to go away and just set aside half an hour on a weekend and think about how much you want to retire with. And there are all manner of resources out there. I actually find the ASIC Money Smart website is a great one. There's another awesome website called Super Guru, which helps you work out how much money you might need in retirement, and just work out how much you think you want to retire on. Like, what does your retirement look like?
Great advice. Hopefully people are listening.
Please do it.
Take it on.
Please
Seems
do it,
pretty easy. It's been a really great conversation. I really hope people listening take something out of this. I have. Thank you for all the advice, and at least for this one person pushing me in the right direction.
Yay.
Thanks.
Wow, what a show that was with Pascale. Normally at the end of our episodes, we'll ask you to rate us on your fave podcast app. But today, we'd ask you to check out Super Rewards and sign up. It only takes a few minutes and could make a big difference to your retirement. And if you haven't already, please set aside 30 minutes to think about your own super and share this episode with 3 important women in your life and ask them to do the same. This has been Flex Your Hustle, a show produced by Commission Factory in Ampool. I'm Michelle Lomas. Bye for now and keep hustling.